On behalf of Rolling Thunder, Chapter NC5, I would like to welcome you to this evening's special ceremony honoring our nation's prisoners of war and those still missing in action. At this time, before I get started with the ceremony itself, I'd like to recognize some folks here this evening. We have two Gold Star families here. We have Cindy Ansbach Burrs. Her dad is still missing from Vietnam, Master Sergeant Robert Ansbach. I happen to be wearing his bracelet tonight. We have the Echeverria family. We have Raymond Jr., we have Donna and Laura. And thank you for coming. Their dad, you'll hear about him more during the program. Do we have any Blue Star families here? Any Blue Star families? Okay. Military present, we have Commander Fitch from the Naval Medical Center, Camp Lejeune. Welcome. Thank you for coming. I don't know if we have any other active duty here. If you do, please. Okay. Staff Sergeant Stephen Way, and he's going to be doing our taps at the end of the program. Sheriff Miller here. Check. Okay, we have County Commissioners Royce Bennett and Tim Foster. Thank you for coming. Anybody from the city? Didn't notice anybody. Veteran organizations, I can see a few here. If I try to mention them all, I'll probably forget one, but thank you all for coming. We appreciate your support. Along with the support for this particular ceremony, I can't say enough about the city of Jacksonville. The city of Jacksonville has supported this event in a number of ways, and you can see two city employees back there with the media in the green shirts, and they're covering this thing live for us, and we sure appreciate that. Not to mention all of the promoting they did for this event with billboards and social media, you name it. We're awesome. The Marine Corps Base G3 for their support with the venue, and actually they had to install some new electrical outlets for this ceremony tonight. Thank them. Special thanks to my friends Joe Hool and Stan Walker, because the seats you're sitting in were set up by them, so thanks to them for doing that again. And another special friend I'd like to thank is Mr. Bob Metter. And he, if you did get a program, thanks to him, that's why you have a program. He donated his time and effort for that. So thank you very much. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please rise as our chaplain, James Pate, delivers our invocation.
I'd like for y'all to bow your heads, have a moment of silence to honor the POWs and MIAs. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for all these wonderful people that made it here to recognize our POWs and MIAs. Thank you for the ones that are actually missing some people. Thank you for comforting them in their time of needs. Thank you for watching over the riders as they rode here tonight. And we ask you ride over them watch over them as they leave. Protect them. Lord, we ask you be here with us tonight to honor our loved ones and our heroes. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. All right, please remain standing as Miss Paige Jameson sings the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Paige. All right. At this time, I would like to introduce a special young lady. She's on the way up here now. Miss Sophia Jennings will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please face the flag.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very good. Thank you very much. Nice to see the young patriots of today. Thank you very much, Sophia. As you all know, go ahead and please be seated. As you all know, today is National POW MIA Recognition Day, a day set aside on the third Friday in September to recognize our missing in action and those who were captured and held as POWs. So each year, the President of the United States proclaims this day, and at this time I will read from the proclamation. A proclamation on National POW MIA Recognition Day. From Belleau Wood to the Battle of the Bulge, Korea to Vietnam, Afghanistan to Iraq, and around the world, American patriots have dared all, risked all, and given all to defend our nation and protect our liberties. Now and always, we honor their service, valor, and sacrifice. We also continue the righteous work of bringing home our heroes who remain unaccounted for. Our National POW MIA Recognition Day, we pledge to seek out answers for the families of service members still missing in action. We commit to doing all in our power to identify and recover America's missing sons and daughters. And we pay tribute to former prisoners of war, individuals who exhibited remarkable courage, love of country, and devotion to duty to protect our nation's safety and freedoms. Today and every day, we fly the iconic black and white flag symbolizing America's prisoners of war and missing in action above the White House, at the United States Capitol, on military bases, at memorials and cemeteries, and homes across America. It is a reminder that we have not forgotten the heroism of our POWs and MIAs, and that we still hope for their return. There is no undertaking more fundamental than the right of remembrance, and there is no act more sacred or more American than keeping the faith with those who have sacrificed so much for our nation. On this day of heartache and resolve, let us offer strength to the families still waiting for the return of their loved ones. Let us extend our gratitude to Americans and international partners working tirelessly to bring home our missing service members from prior conflicts. And let us remember that freedom is never free, that democracy always requires champions, and that we owe an eternal debt to the heroes of our armed forces. Now, therefore, I, Joseph R. Biden, Jr., President of the United States of America, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, do hereby proclaim September 16th, 2022 as National POW MIA Recognition Day. Along with my fellow Americans, I salute our POWs who overcame unspeakable indignities to return home with honor. We will work tirelessly to provide the families of those who have not yet come home the fullest possible measure of accounting. I urge all Americans to observe this day in honor of honor and remembrance with appropriate ceremonies and activities. Signed, Joe R. Biden, Jr. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our guest of honor this evening, before I introduce him, you should all have a program with his bio in it. I got one here somewhere. tell you a little bit about why Mr. Raymond L. Echeverria Jr. is here tonight. And I won't read the lengthy version. However, Raymond and his two sisters are here because they have a dad who's still missing in action from Vietnam. On October 3rd, 1966, a 7-man reconnaissance team comprising 3 U.S. Army soldiers and 4 South Vietnamese ethnic Nung soldiers was inserted by helicopter in a landing zone in Savannakhet province in Laos, approximately 800 meters south of Ban Taha and 2 kilometers west of the Laos-Vietnam border. Very shortly after landing, they found themselves surrounded by enemy forces. They requested immediate helicopter extraction, but quickly became involved in a firefight, and a helicopter was driven off by small arms fire. The 3 U.S. soldiers were all wounded, 2 severely. 1 U.S. soldier who was hit in the leg was able to leave the immediate area of one of the South Vietnamese soldiers, but the other 2 soon encountered another group of enemy troops. The South Vietnamese soldier who was extracted from the area the next day and was the sole surviving member of the patrol reported he last saw his fellow team member exchanging fire with pursuing enemy troops. An immediate search for the team members could not be conducted because enemy force controlled the area, and later searches were unsuccessful. Master Sergeant Raymond Echeverria, who joined the U.S. Army from New York, served with Headquarters and Headquarters Company, 5th Special Forces Group. He was severely wounded by enemy fire when his patrol was attacked on October 3, 1966, and the presence of enemy troops prevented his extraction from the area. Later search for his remains were unsuccessful. While carried in the status of missing in action, the U.S. Army promoted Master Sergeant Echeverria to the rank of Sergeant Major. Today, Sergeant Major Echeverria is memorialized on the Courts of the Missing at the National Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific. Update on December 2021, Master Sergeant Raymond Echeverria, who joined the Army from North Carolina, served with Headquarters and Headquarters Company, 5th Special Forces Group. And then his initial home of record was New York, but he is now listed with the 38, along with the other 38 missing from North Carolina. Since when he re-enlisted in the Army, he changed his home of record, and the family requested that he be placed on the North Carolina rolls. Raymond L. Echeverria Jr. is the 3rd of 4 children born to Sergeant Major Raymond L. Echeverria Sr. He is considered MIA, body not recovered. And he was a son to Raymond and Bonnie Echeverria. Raymond is 59 years old, lives with his wife in Roxborough, North Carolina. Raymond served 4 years in the United States Coast Guard as an aviation electronics tech at Coast Guard Air Station Elizabeth City. After his enlistment ended, he began working as a firefighter at the City of Kinston Fire Department. After the City of Kinston, Raymond began working at the Wake County Fire Marshal's office and served as the fire chief for the town of Apex. Raymond retired as the Director of Fire Services for Wake County. Since his mother passed in 2009, Raymond and his siblings have gotten more involved in the MIA issue and researching information regarding their father's service. They attended numerous Defense POW MIA accounting agency meetings and updates. In addition, they attended numerous meetings and reunions of various Vietnam veterans groups, including the Special Operations Association. Raymond and his sisters have been successful in working with members of the Special Operations Association to earn posthumous awards for their MIA father. Those efforts led to Senator Richard Burr awarding a posthumous Bronze Star for their father in June 2016. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Raymond Echeverria.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Levesque. My sisters Donna, Laura, and I, we thank you and all of the members of Rolling Thunder Chapter NC5 for the invitation and the opportunity to be here tonight to speak with y'all. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. And I got to say, I've seen pictures of this memorial, but pictures don't do us justice. This is a beautiful memorial. Before I get started on my remarks, I'd like to offer a thank you to all of the veterans and the active duty service members that are here. Again, we thank you. We know how hard it is. We know what sacrifices you make, and we thank you for that. I also want to recognize again Cindy Anspa Balcom, MIA daughter. My sisters and I, we share a common bond with you. The years of not knowing the fate of our family members. Regardless of the years that go by, there are always many unanswered questions, feelings of sorrowness, bitterness, and then the hope for our loved ones' return. POW MIA Recognition Day is important for our nation. It's a day to honor those that endured periods of cruel and inhumane imprisonment at the hands of our nation's enemies. And it's also a day to remember our country's brave service members like our father that made the ultimate sacrifice and never returned home. It's also a time to recommit to the ideal that our nation will not leave a service member behind and will do whatever is necessary for the fullest possible accounting of those missing in action. This day in particular is also a special day for me and my sister. September 16th happens to be our father's birthday. If he were here today, he would be 89 years old. As Mr. Levesque said in his opening, our father was lost on October 3rd, 1966, while on a highly secret mission in Laos. Our father served in a group called MAC-V-SOG, and SOG was an acronym for the Studies and Observation Group. And that was, they wanted a safe, innocuous name for this group of highly trained special forces, soldiers, airmen, and sailors that did cross-border operations from Vietnam into Laos and Cambodia. Our father's mission was so classified that our mother didn't even know where he was when he went missing until 1973. It took 7 years before the military confirmed with our mother where he went missing and what he was doing at the time. The name of our father's recon team was Recon Team Arizona. The loss of his team was the first complete loss of American team members for SOG. As you can imagine, our father's loss was particularly hard on our mother. Young wife, mother of 4, she was now faced with not knowing the fate of her husband, while also having to raise 4 young children. And back then, spouses didn't have many of the support programs that are in place today. She was basically left to fend for herself. She got the required visits from the casualty officers, and she got the occasional telegram or letter from the Army. My sisters and I spoke several times about it. Just can't imagine how difficult that was for our mother. I mean, being parents ourselves, it's hard enough to raise one child or 2 children. I can't imagine raising 4 children while at the same time dealing with the unknown of what happened to your spouse. Our mother was on a constant roller coaster of emotions. In the early years, there were reports sent to our mother that our father was located in a rowboat camp in Laos. Months later, find out, well, that was false. There were also periods of time where she got reports that our father was photographed in a POW camp. Again, months later, found out it was false. There were times where the Army would either visit our mother, call her mother, or send her a letter asking her to watch various news reports, various news stories, and other stories that contained video reports of POWs to see if she might see our father's face in the video. Our mother gave us as normal childhood as any child could want. Out of respect for our mother and how difficult it was for her, as we grew up, we didn't really talk about it very much. We just accepted it for what it was. See, when you grow up with it, it becomes kind of normalized. So we just didn't talk about it much. Eventually, our mother passed in 2009. She lived years with anxiety, panic attacks, and other issues that, no doubt in my mind, are related to what happened to our father. After she passed, my siblings and I, my sisters, we started talking about, our father and what happened to him and all of the unanswered questions that we've got about his service and his sacrifice. My sisters are older than I am, and they can remember the day that the Army casualty officer came to our house to tell our mother that our father was missing. They recall that even though all the children were ushered into another room of the house, they could still hear our mother crying and sobbing. Excuse me. Days after that, our mother got a telegram. Back in those days, I guess they used Western Union telegrams. And it simply said, "The Secretary of the Army has asked me to express his deep regret that your husband has been missing since October 3rd, 1966 in the classified area." In true Army fashion, the last sentence of the telegram ended with a request for her, and I'm going to quote this, "Make public only information concerning his name, rank, service number, and date of birth." And I was looking at that and I thought, I guess the Army didn't know about empathy back then. I was only 4 years old when my father went missing. The only thing that I remember, the only memories I have, are seeing the tan 4-door sedans in the driveway. I think every military casualty officer on Fort Bragg drove that same tan 4-door sedan because it was always in our driveway when it was there. My sisters and I, we then started attending more of the updates given by the Defense POW MIA accounting agency, getting more involved in trying to push for answers for what happened to our father. My sisters worked at Fort Bragg, and they got in contact and met various veterans, some of which actually knew our father and served with our father. And these veterans would get us into contact with the Special Operations Association. And we began working with members of the association to apply for various awards, like Mr. Levesque said, that our father was eligible for. In addition to the Bronze Star, we were able to get an additional Purple Heart for wounds he received in battle. Based on information from Defense POW MIA accounting agencies, there are approximately 81,500 service members still missing in action and unaccounted for from all of our nation's wars and other military actions. Of that number, approximately 1,582 are from the Vietnam War, and of that number, approximately 39 are from North Carolina. And as Mr. Levesque said, our father is the most recent addition to the North Carolina list. He was included on the New York list of MIAs because he was born in New York. It took us 2 years to get the Army to correct his home of record on his final casualty report so that he would show up on the list of MIAs from North Carolina. And since he's been added to the list, we have been humbled, honestly humbled, by the support provided to us by the various veterans organizations in North Carolina. Our father's name is now read when the names of MIA soldiers are read at various locations throughout the state of North Carolina, including here in Jacksonville. There are many veteran and other organizations that continue to remember and honor the ultimate sacrifice made by our nation's missing in action. And we are thankful for these groups, and they include Rolling Thunder, the North Carolina Vietnam Veterans Incorporated, the National League of POW MIA Families, and there are many others, countless others that I can't remember them all. Remembering our missing military members is important not only to the families of those that are missing from past wars, but it is also important to those brave service members serving our nation today and their families. Our country has made a commitment to not leave any military service member behind. It is that commitment that allows our brave military members to go forward and fight bravely and selflessly for our great nation, knowing that if, God forbid, they make the ultimate sacrifice, they will be returned home to their families. And it is that same commitment that drives personnel working in the Defense POW MIA accounting agency to do the hard work necessary to locate and repatriate the remains of service members from past wars. These efforts are more challenging than ever. They are even more challenging than ever for those missing in Vietnam for a number of reasons. Since September the 21st of 2020, there have only been 4 service members from the Vietnam War identified. Only 2 have been identified since March 1st of 2021. It's the support of the various veterans organizations like Rolling Thunder and others that continue to push our government to provide the fullest possible accounting of our nation's missing. Progress on finding and returning our missing father is painfully slow. For more years than I can remember, the status of his case has not changed. After years and years and years of no progress, years of getting the same answers, it's easy to give up hope and accept the fact that we will never get any answers regarding our father's fate and what happened on October 3rd, 1966. It's events like this recognition event today. Events like today refreshes our strength, renews our belief and faith that our father will be returned home one day. We continue to wait for our father to be returned. It's too late for our mother and our youngest brother. We had a youngest brother, and he has unfortunately passed on. But we continue to pray that one day our father is returned home so we can give him the welcome home he deserves and properly give him an enduring, peaceful rest. Some folks have talked about our father's return and how that would bring us closure. And I've really thought about that a lot. And to be honest, I don't even know what closure means. I don't even know how you could bring closure to living an entire life not knowing what happened to our father. There are many unanswered questions about our father's service, about his sacrifice, about what happened. Returning our father home will certainly provide important answers to us about what happened. But there still is going to be a lot of other unanswered questions. And when people say closure, I don't believe in closure. I don't think there can ever be any closure to that chapter of our life. Again, Mr. Levesque, we thank you, the members of Chapter NC5 of Rolling Thunder, for inviting us here tonight, patiently listening to me while I speak. We thank each of you for attending, and we're truly humbled and encouraged by your presence and your remembrance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Raymond. And not many of us here can relate to those words, and I can't even imagine it. So, but we're here for you and the rest of those missing, and we will continue to remind the public that there are many, many more that need to come home, and we're not going to rest until they're all accounted for. Standing behind me is a black and white flag that's pretty familiar to most people out here. You see this symbol in many places. It's called the POW flag. But it's amazing that everybody thinks it's a pretty cool flag, but a lot of people don't know exactly how it came about. So I'm going to give you a little bit of history about this flag and how it came to be. In 1970, Mrs. Michael Hoff, an MIA wife and member of the National League of POW MIA Families, recognized the need for a symbol of our POWs and MIAs. Prompted by an article in the Jacksonville, Florida Times-Union, Mrs. Hoff contacted Norman Rivskis, vice president of NN & Company, which had made a banner for the newest member of the United Nations, the People's Republic of China, as part of their policy to provide flags of all United Nations member states. Mrs. Hoff found Mr. Rivke's very sympathetic to the POWMI issue. He and an advertising agent employee, Newt Hinesley, designed a flag to represent our missing men. Following approval by the League's Board of Directors at a meeting held January 22 and 23 in 1972, POW flags were manufactured for distribution. Wanting the widest possible dissemination of the use of this symbol to advocate for improved treatment for and answers on American POWs and MIAs, no trademark or copyright was sought. As a result, widespread use of the League's POW-MIA flag is not restricted legally. The large volume of commercial production and sales now required to meet demands of federal and state laws does not benefit the League financially, though an company did contribute a modest amount on one occasion. On March 9, 1989, an official League flag flown over the White House on National POW-MIA Recognition Day, 1988, was installed in the Capitol Rotunda, U.S. Capitol Rotunda, as a result of legislation passed overwhelmingly on a bipartisan basis during the 100th Congress. In a demonstration of further bipartisan congressional support, the leadership of both houses hosted the installation ceremony at which League Executive Director Ann Mills Griffiths delivered remarks representing the POW-MIA families. The League's POW flag is the only flag ever displayed in the U.S. Capitol Rotunda, where it stands as a powerful symbol of America's determination to account for U.S. personnel still missing and unaccounted for from the Vietnam War. On August 10, 1990, the 101st Congress passed U.S. Public Law 101-355, which recognized the League's POW-MIA flag, and designated it the symbol of our nation's concern and commitment to resolving as fully as possible the fates of Americans still prisoner, missing, and unaccounted for in Southeast Asia, thus ending the uncertainty for their families and the nation. The importance of the POW-MIA flag lies in its continued visibility, a constant reminder of the plight of America's unreturned veterans. Other than Old Glory, the League's POW-MIA flag is the only flag ever to fly over the White House, displayed since 1982 in this place of honor at National POW-MIA Recognition Day. Passage by the 105th Congress of Section 1082 of the 1998 Defense Authorization Act required that the League's POW flag fly 6 days each year: Armed Forces Day, Memorial Day, Flag Day, Independence Day, National POW-MIA Recognition Day, and Veterans Day. It must be displayed at the White House, the U.S. Capitol, the Departments of State, Defense, and Veterans Affairs, the headquarters of the Selective Service System, major military installations as designated by the Secretary of Defense, all federal cemeteries, and all offices of the U.S. Postal Services. In addition to the specific dates stipulated, the Department of Veterans Affairs voluntarily displays our POW-MIA flag 24/7. The National Vietnam Veterans, Korean War Veterans, and World War II memorials are now also required by law to display the POW-MIA flag daily. Most state capitals have adopted similar laws, as have local governments nationwide. League policy on national POW-MIA flag display was adopted at the League's 32nd annual meeting in June 2001. Members present overwhelmingly passed and followed the resolution. Be it resolved that the National League of POW-MIA Families strongly recommends that state and municipal entities fly the POW flag daily to demonstrate continuing commitment to the goal of the fullest possible accounting of all personnel not yet returned to American soil. We do have another special guest that arrived after I introduced everybody. We have a Gold Star family, Pate Dessens, Gold Star mother, and her husband Dan Dessens, who lost their son in Iraq. So we'd like to welcome them as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Rolling Thunder NC5 past president Al Anderson, who will speak a little bit about Rolling Thunder Incorporated. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and I want to thank you again for showing up for this ceremony. Incorporated in 1995, Rolling Thunder Incorporated is a Class 501c4 nonprofit organization with over 88 chartered chapters throughout the United States and members abroad. While many members of Rolling Thunder are veterans and many ride motorcycles, neither qualification is a prerequisite. Rolling Thunder members are old and young, men and women, veterans and non-veterans. All are united in the cause to bring full accountability for POWs and MIAs from all wars, reminding the government, the media, and the public by our watchwords, "We will not forget." The name Rolling Thunder is derived from the constant bombing of North Vietnam in 1965 and was given the name Operation Rolling Thunder. No officers or members of Rolling Thunder Incorporated receive any compensation. We all donate our time. Let me give you some of the statistics of our POWs and MIAs still unaccounted for. World War II, over 72,000. Cold War, 126. Korea, 7,578. Vietnam, 1,586. Iraqi freedom and other conflicts, 6. When the Vietnam War ended, 591 Americans were released in Operation Homecoming in 1973. Military experts expressed their dismay that some hundreds of POWs did not come home with them. Since 1995, thousands of reports have been received indicating that many Americans are still alive and being held against their will in Southeast Asia. Whether or not these men or women are still there today remains a mystery. What is certain, however, is that if only one American remains alive in enemy hands from any war, we owe him our best effort to bring them home. There are currently 39 North Carolina servicemen still unaccounted for from the Vietnam War. Members of Rolling Thunder Chapter 5 will conduct a roll call of those 39 MIA. If able, please stand during this roll call.
Robert D. Avery, hometown Morganton, North Carolina. Date of loss, May 3rd, 1968. Military service, the United States Marine Corps. Harry J. Belknap, Jones Ridge, North Carolina. June 23rd, 1966. United States Navy. Murray L. Borden, Goldsboro, North Carolina. October 13th, 1966. United States Air Force. Eric P. Bryce, Rocky Mount, North Carolina. June 4, 1968. United States Navy. Edward D. Brown, Charlotte, North Carolina. July 29, 1965. United States Navy. Franklin H. Canup, Jr., Concord, North Carolina. January 14th, 1967, United States Navy. Fred L. Clark, Troutman, North Carolina. December 13th, 1968, United States Air Force. Glenn R. Cook, Charlotte, North Carolina. October 21, 1969, United States Air Force. Andrew J. Craven, Wilmington, North Carolina. May 21, 1968, United States Army. John H. Cruz III, Asheville, North Carolina. May 22nd, 1968, United States Air Force. Eric L. Chrisman, Asheboro, North Carolina. March 19th, 1971, United States Army. Robert L. Curley Jr., Monroe, North Carolina. June 10, 1965, United States Army. Robert F. Gatwood Jr., Hickory, North Carolina. April 2, 1972, United States Air Force. Paul E. Gore, Faison, North Carolina. October 2, 1969, United States Navy. Raymond L. Echeverria, Fayetteville, North Carolina. October 3, 1966, United States Army.
Connie M. Gravette, Cavell, North Carolina. June 17, 1966, United States Air Force. Frederick M. Hall, Waynesville, North Carolina. April 12, 1969, United States Air Force. Joseph N. Hargrove, Mount Olive, North Carolina. May 15, 1975, United States Marine Corps. Harold L. Harris, Durham, North Carolina. October 22nd, 1966, United States Army. Luther H. Howard, Hamlet, North Carolina. June 30th, 1967, United States Army. Carter A. Howell, Fayetteville, North Carolina. March the 7th, 1972, United States Air Force. Lynchfield P. Huey, Warsaw, North Carolina. February 27th, 1967, United States Navy. Larry C. Jamerson, Roseman, North Carolina. April 21st, 1968, United States Army. William D. Johnson, Rocky Mount, North Carolina. January 19th, 1968, United States Army. Charlie G. Lewis, Fayetteville, North Carolina. May the 17th, 1967, United States Army. Larry G. Lewis, Asheville, North Carolina. February 27th, 1971, United States Navy. James M. Lutherell, Fayetteville, North Carolina. May the 10th, 1971, United States Army. John L. McDaniel, Gibsonville, North Carolina. April 26, 1968, United States Air Force. Jerry L. Moore, Cleveland, North Carolina, February 16, 1969, United States Army.
Larry K. Morrow, Lowell, North Carolina, May 29, 1972, U.S. Army. Dennis W. Amelia, Smithfield, North Carolina, January 3, 1971, U.S. Army. Edwin D. Paulgren, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, April 22, 1968, U.S. Air Force. Robert M. Staten, Jr., Jamesville, North Carolina, November 11, 1967, U.S. Army. William C. Sutton, Goldsboro, North Carolina, January 28, 1970, U.S. Air Force. Jimmy L. Watson, Lucama, North Carolina, March 3, 1968, U.S. Army. Melvin L. Weeks, Concord, North Carolina, August 18, 1971, U.S. Army. Philip R. Wellens, Raleigh, North Carolina, August 17, 1970, U.S. Air Force. Wayne V. Wilson, Thomasville, North Carolina, July 2, 1967, U.S. Marine Corps. Walter S. Wood, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, May 2, 1966, U.S. Navy.
Rolling Thunder's major mission is to publicize the POW-MIA issue, educating the public that many American prisoners of war were left behind after all previous wars. We help correct the past and protect the future veterans from being left behind should they ever become POWs or MIAs. We are also committed to helping American veterans from all wars. While we are not a motorcycle club, we do use the motorcycles and the noise to draw attention to our mission. We ride for those who can't. When one American is not worth the effort of being found, we as Americans have lost. On behalf of Rolling Thunder NC5, thank you for allowing us to provide this ceremony, and please never forget our POWs and MIA and their families. Thank you.
You may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, before you today stands a table. It is reserved to honor our missing loved ones and comrades in arms. Set for 5, the empty places represent Americans still missing from each of the 5 services: the Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. This honor ceremony symbolizes that they are with us here in spirit. I would like to explain the meaning of the items on this special table. Table is round to show our everlasting concern for our missing men and women. Tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their motives when answering the call to duty. The blank dog tags by each setting represent the fact that any of us could be called to defend our nation. The single red rose displayed in a vase reminds us of the life of each of the missing and their loved ones and friends who keep the faith, awaiting answers. The vase is tied with a red ribbon, a symbol of our continued determination to account for our missing. A slice of lemon on the plate is to remind us of the bitter fate of those captured and missing in a foreign land. A pinch of salt symbolizes the tears endured by those missing and their families who still seek answers. The Bible represents the strength gained through faith to sustain those lost from our country, founded as one nation under God. The glasses are inverted to symbolize their inability to share a toast. The chairs are empty. They are still missing. The lighting of the candle serves to remind us of the ultimate sacrifice our fallen comrades and their families have made to preserve the precious freedom we cherish today. For hundreds of years, the light in the distance meant hope. The flickering in the distance of the light high atop the lighthouse tells of nearing land and a heavy fog. The dim light of a front porch says, "Come inside to the warmth of home," and let us not forget the lantern of Paul Revere riding through the streets to warn the British were coming. There was a time long ago that our forefathers fought to provide us with freedom. Then came other wars fought to preserve those freedoms. Today we fight to protect that freedom. The flame is also a symbol. It lights the way home for our brothers and sisters in arms. It crosses this great country to tell everyone the soldier stands with pride and honor to keep us free, and we keep the light burning to show the way home. The light does not cast a shadow, for its sole purpose is to send the message of hope to let everyone know we will not forget. Ladies and gentlemen, if you received a little candle, please light those at this time, or turn the switch on to light them. This evening we passed out 40 candles, 39 for our 39 missing North Carolina service members, and a 40th to recognize Master Sergeant Robert A. Anspach, who we spoke about, and his daughter Donna is carrying the flame of freedom this evening. At this time, I would ask all the attendees to please follow the procession around the wall with the flame of freedom. Come on up. Gold Star families, we'd like you to be immediately behind the flame if possible. After your procession around the wall, if you would, form a line where the Flame of Freedom is, following along the walkway. We're going to be passing the flame here shortly. So we invite everybody who wants to participate to please stand in line so you can get past the Flame of Freedom. All right, if I could have your attention, ladies and gentlemen, at this time I would ask everyone to please render honors for the playing of taps by U.S. Marine Corps Staff Sergeant Stephen Way. At this time, the flame will be passed to those who wish to participate. Please think of a veteran, an MIA, or someone who served that you want to recognize. Take a couple of seconds to remember somebody. Ladies and gentlemen, before I close out, I would also like to recognize a group that came from Virginia. Rolling Thunder Chapter 3 Virginia showed up to support this. We appreciate you coming all this way for this ceremony. This concludes this evening's ceremony, and we really appreciate everybody attending. Please never forget our POWs and MIAs. Thank you.